All right. Welcome back to episode something or other. It's like 30 something, 30,
330.
Yeah, it's like 37, I think. I think it's 37 this week, which is crazy to think that we've done 37 episodes. We have
quarantine edition.
Yes, we have a guest this week, in case you haven't noticed. Again, I still don't know who I'm talking to because there's no one here, but this is Rob. Rob, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, Rob William here, ELI5FI. I have a YouTube channel as well, if you guys want to check it out.
Yes, and that is how that's how we connected, was through
That's right.
YouTube, because we, for some reason, think that's a fun thing to do. Anyone else drinking anything this week, or is it just me?
Yeah, I have my have a glass of wine here.
Nice. Look at this.
I will be transitioning to this shortly.
Good.
Yeah, don't worry.
Justin, I got a new fancy glass for old fashions.
Yeah,
Nice.
Rob, if you haven't caught on, Trey really likes his fancy drinks now.
Oh yeah.
There's been a progression on every episode.
I haven't been able to have an old fashioned for like a month because
Yeah.
our whole kitchen is packed up because we moved here. We needed to get the kitchen remodeled, and my good old fashioned glasses are in a box in the garage somewhere. And I had one glass that I could make an old fashioned in, and it broke like a month ago. So I haven't had an old fashioned since. My wife keeps making fun of me because she's like, "Can't you just make it in any glass?" I'm like, "No, the glass is half of the drink." So she got me some new glassware for Christmas, and this was one of the things. And so this is the first old fashioned I've had in like a month. And
Wait, Christmas this year or last year?
yeah, Christmas this year.
Okay.
Yeah, because why? When you're an adult, why wait for the gift?
That's true.
So, anyways, I'm drinking that. It's just got 4 roses in it, and then we'll be switching to the McKenna because
Nice.
Great
it's
choice.
so good. So, where to start this week?
I mean,
The obvious place to start is the McLaren. You own a McLaren.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where my interest lies with this
Take it
conversation.
away,
I
Justin.
got a new episode I'm working on for the channel this week. The car will be making a cameo appearance in it.
Nice.
Nice.
Stay
So how
tuned.
did you? I love the McLaren brand one.
I love it too.
I got the McLaren F1 right here, and then
I saw that.
I have an E36 M3, so that's my car. But how
Cool.
did you?
I also have an M4 as well. That's my daily driver.
Okay, not a bad daily.
Yep.
Not a bad daily at all. How did you? I guess now 2 questions. How did you land on the McLaren, and then how did you land on the M4?
Okay, so I got the M4 first. That's actually a funny story. So I had my eye on the McLaren. It was about a year and a half ago. It was like the end of last summer, and I had my eye on it, and I was just kind of, wasn't too sure yet. And I at the same time, I needed to get like a daily driver because I was driving a Porsche Boxster at the time, and it just, the 2-seater thing just wasn't doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I found the M4, and on the way to go pick it up, like after I finalized the deal, me and my wife, we made a wrong turn, and we ended up driving past the McLaren dealer up in Tampa Bay. And I'm like, that's a sign. We should go look at the car. So that night we stopped, we looked at it, and I fell in love with it. I was like, we got to come back, So I waited a couple weeks before I went back to get the McLaren, but I love that car. We went back like 3-4 weeks maybe after I got the M4. I picked that up. So
I gotta say,
it's actually no, I'm sorry. It took about a good 3 weeks to negotiate it because it was a consignment car, and the guy just didn't want to let it go for basically a fair price.
Oh, I see. So it's like love at first sight, basically, because of that.
Pretty much. Yep.
I love that.
I gotta say,
most people.
Car guys can find like a sign in everything when it has to do with a car.
Yeah, that's exactly how I ended up with my M3. It was like a sign. It was a friend of a friend selling it, and it was just like I knew the history of it and everything. And it was just like, so we have this car for you. Do you want it? I'm like, this is a sign. I had just sold my other toys because Trey and I were kind of on this path of, financial literacy, and I had a loan on one of my other cars, and I was like, I could be investing that money, and like, kind of here's what the projected return could be.
Yeah.
But then the M3 dropped in my lap after I was kind of itching for another fun toy, and it was a sign.
Yeah, you can't deny it. So
You can't. So have you always been a car guy?
always, ever since I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
I had posters up on my wall of the Lamborghini Countach. That was what I had up on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always like a Lambo guy, but after I started looking into different cars and stuff, it's like they look beautiful, but I don't know. I don't feel like they're as reliable as like a Ferrari or a McLaren.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But it's funny because I was looking years before I got the McLaren. I was kind of like researching, like, what do I want to get, this and that. And so I was looking at the 458 Ferrari, and I don't know, just something about the McLaren. It was cheaper than like the 458, and it was like it's got the cool doors. Like you can't deny like the cool doors on it.
Yeah. I know Trey's asked you this maybe in another conversation, but as another car enthusiast, I'm curious, like, kind of at what point in your financial journey did you get to that enabled you, or like, did you rationalize buying like that?
That's a great question. So 2 months prior, I had just paid off the mortgage of my primary residence, and I was about a month or so away. I was basically right around the time frame of, like, you guys are familiar with the Financial Independence Retire Early community, right?
Yep.
The fire.
So my fire number, I had hit that. I think it was right around December. Right around the point when it kind of all coalesced around the same time period. So once the mortgage was paid off, once I hit my fire number, I felt like, you know what, you can keep investing all day long. It's still not gonna. I mean, a little bit it'll make a dent in it, but I mean, once you reach a certain point, then you're like, all right, maybe I can have nice things and be financially independent at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's one of my big gripes with the fire community. Is like everything's so focused on like minimal.
Exactly.
It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
but I want to live some too.
Exactly.
I've always jived a lot more with like the fat fire community.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Same here.
Yeah.
I'm working on my fat fire. I'm just traditional fire right now. As soon as I sell my business, I have my business I just listed with a broker. As soon as that sells, I'll be pretty much in fat fire territory.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
What are your financial goals? Like how far do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, I'd like to. I mean, I'm only 40. I just turned 40 in October, so I mean, I got some time left in my prime earning years. So it's like at this point, what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of gonna pursue, YouTube at this point, because my business doesn't take much time from me at all. Maybe 4 or 5 hours a week, and I'm gonna be selling it. So. I'm going, head first into the YouTube thing. I mean, it seems like it's pretty lucrative, after, you put in your time. It seems like it could be pretty good. But in terms of goals, long-term goals, I would say maybe, probably double-digit millions, let's say, would be a good goal,
Yep, that's a good goal for sure. Question, and feel free to not answer any of these questions that you don't feel like answering.
Sure.
If you only spend 4 to 5 hours a week on your business, why sell it?
That's a fantastic question, and it does go into financial financial illiteracy, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say like 35% ordinary income tax essentially is what it comes down to at the end of the day. So if I can structure a deal where I'm essentially getting, 4 years worth of income and get it taxed as long-term capital gains as opposed to ordinary income tax, I mean, the business isn't guaranteed to last forever like any business,
Right.
So that's my logic.
No, that makes sense. And, there's no wrong answer to that. It's, I'm curious in people's thinking on, like, cause one is a sort of a forever recurring revenue stream, but the other, like you said, can supply multiple years of the same revenue for the right deal at lower tax rate. So it's interesting.
Right.
Are you able to talk about like what this business is at this time?
Yeah, definitely. I don't specifically promote like the name of the business because I try to retain my privacy. But in terms of what the business does, it's web hosting. So Trey and I share a very similar skill set in DevOps.
Okay. Yeah, I'm the outsider in marketing over here.
Okay, cool.
For some reason, Trey and I became friends.
Yeah, how'd you guys meet?
You were employee 3, 4?
No,
3?
I was like in like
I don't know.
sub 10 probably.
Because we had people up in Portland. You were like third in San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There were only like 3 people in the San Jose office.
He was an early employee at my last company.
Okay.
And him and I were like the only people that actually showed up to the office early, so we were like forced to communicate and grew a friendship through that.
Yeah.
A very small office. We spent a lot of time catching up over coffee and whiskey.
Yes.
So
nice.
And then, cars and everything else kind of just folded in as we got to know each other over I was there for about 3 years at that time. So
to be clear, the whiskey wasn't in the morning most of the time.
Yeah.
I was going to say that must sound like morning and night.
I mean, there were some Irish coffees midday, but
yeah.
I got Irish coffee mugs now. So I'm making one of those tomorrow.
I'm not surprised. But it was at that company that Trey and I started kind of going down this financial education route.
Okay.
Just starting to calculate simple things of, like if I'm earning my current salary, like how long is it going to take me to hit my number or retire? And I was realizing that shoot, one, I need to increase my income. 2, I need to save more. And
exactly.
it kind of just got us on this. And then I needed to do a really good audit of my monthly budget because I just wasn't tracking anything. So I started throwing things into, I know in some of your videos, Rob, you mentioned things like Mint, and that was an free and easy tool just to link accounts and start tracking budgets. So it kind of just started to grow from that time. Maybe 2 years ago now, maybe 2.5.
Yeah, and cool. I was started a company and making a software engineer's salary, but still paycheck to paycheck until we started this journey, which is I don't know, it's a crazy thing to think about. Lots of people assume software engineers making 6 figures in the Bay Area, and they're like, oh man, they must have so much money, but man, most of them are living paycheck to paycheck just like everyone else.
Yeah, the living expenses are killer out there, right?
Yeah. And I went and bought a house that was 50+% of my income, and luckily that ended up netting me well in the end, but that was a total accident.
Right.
So what's the next thing we can talk about? I guess so you said tens of millions for the goal.
Tens of millions, that's the goal.
And is that based on just the passive income that would generate from investments, or where?
It has to do with like some large splurges I would really be interested in making.
Yeah. Nice. Good.
But yeah, and then plus, obviously everybody wants a higher income,
Oh yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I've said this on this podcast before, but my goal is to try and get as close to $1 billion as possible. So.
Yeah. Well, with inflation, yeah, that might happen.
Yeah. I won't be disappointed if it doesn't happen. It's the process of getting there that I'm excited about. What is the next car you're going to buy?
Oh, that's a good question. See, I'm the type of person that, when I get a car, I don't want to have a new car every year, every 2 years. When I get a car, that's my baby. I'm going to keep it. I actually shed a little tear when I sold my Boxster because that was the only car I ever sold that I didn't have to sell because it wasn't broken. There was nothing wrong with it. It was perfectly fine, but it was just, it was time for me to kind of move on and upgrade. But it was, it was a painful event a little bit, So I'm not the type to kind of, go from car to car. But that's a good question. I'll have to ponder that and get back to you on this. Let you know what
Yeah,
But I plan on keeping the McLaren for quite a while.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I've had my
It's a
Jeep.
good choice.
I've had my Jeep for 12 years now, 11 years now, I think. It's crazy. I've only driven it for like 8 of those because it's broken all the time. But
what about the Vet? You gonna get that Vet?
no, the Vet was just for SEO. I saw Justin made 2 videos about the C8 Corvette, and he was showing me how much SEO traffic he was getting. And I'm like, I think I could make a video with that as like the premise. No, my car is the AMG GTR. That's the one I'm going to get.
Okay.
As soon as investments will pay that payment, I'm getting the AMG GTR.
Nice.
That's the one for me.
That's the end game.
Yeah.
I'll see you on the racetrack.
For a long time, it was the it was an Aston Martin. But then recently, Justin got me into Formula One. Actually, the Netflix documentary on Formula One really got me interested into it.
Yep. Because then you learn about all the drivers and you get a little more into it.
Yeah, and then I realized how amazing Formula One is to watch, which I still need to finish the race from last week. But it's and then watching that, watching Mercedes excellence, and it got me digging into Mercedes. And then I found the GTR. I'm like, well, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that's a nice car. You got to see last week's race. It was pretty tight because Hamilton was out, because he had COVID or whatever.
I'm on lap 20.
It was actually an interesting race. What was that?
I've gotten to lap 20.
Dude,
my family didn't cooperate letting me watch the race last week, so I still got to finish it.
There's some pretty major. I don't want to ruin it for you. It's pretty good.
At this point, this is on Trey for not watching it already.
Yeah,
but...
no. Yeah, don't feel bad for ruining it. No, I was. I started watching it. And normally, like everything's fine. I can sit down on a Sunday and watch it while everything else is going on around me. But it wasn't one of those Sundays where it would work out. And I got like 20, 25 laps in, and I finally just gave up. And at that point in time, Russell wasn't number one. Like Bottas wasn't doing too bad. And so later that day or the next day or something like that, I'm like, I wonder who did actually end up winning. And I look in all of the standings. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, you'll see when you watch it.
Yeah, so I asked Justin, I'm like, okay, the standings are crazy. Should I finish watching this? And like lap 20 or 25, he's like, yeah.
It was probably one of the better races of the season for sure.
Man.
Absolutely, because I got to be honest, it's pretty boring just watching Hamilton win every week.
Yeah, that's the Mercedes dominance is great for Mercedes and great for Hamilton, but it is pretty boring as a spectator. There's like this group. I think it's a subreddit on subreddit on Reddit, but it's called Formula 1.5.
Okay,
it's like basically who's gonna the real F1 is who's gonna get like 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true.
That's the real. Like 1 and 2 are usually the same.
Yep.
True.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing to watch though, man. This is my first season really watching any of it, and it was really fun to watch. I was so bummed at the beginning of the season. I had everything set up to watch the first race. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna watch F1, and then like COVID hit, and they're like, oh, cancel the race. I'm like, no,
I know.
No.
I would love to drive a Formula One car though. Just even like do like a couple hot laps on it. Mm-hmm. Oh man, looks like so much fun.
One of the
Are you going to track any of your cars, Rob?
Probably not. No, McLaren has some kind of because it's got the certified warranty on it. It's a couple more years on it. It's a 2015, but you can buy like additional years on the warranty. And I think if you track it, you void the warranty. But there's an exception where if it's a McLaren sanctioned event, they'll actually let you do it. Because they're policing you or what have you. But I'd be interested in doing that, but probably not tracking it. It's just way too harsh on a car.
How do you feel about that, Justin? Is it harsh on a car?
It's absolutely.
Is it? Have you ever burnt up your brakes or anything?
Yeah. Consumables. basically, at least the stuff you go through is like you got to be diligent on oil changes,
Yeah.
air filter, stuff like that. You'll increase the number of times you do that as far as intervals, but it's usually, at least the way I set up my car, it's just
Yep.
consumables. So it's just brake pads, brake rotors, brake fluid,
That's not too
and
bad.
then oil,
Tires. Yep.
tires. Yep.
Have you ever boiled your brake fluid?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Have you
actually
ever
happened
melted
this
your
year.
brake pads?
Oh, yeah, I did both of those things. I'm getting better as a driver, I guess. Yeah, this car, I took a different philosophy on building it because I started tracking it basically as it was bone stock.
Mhm.
And I wanted to improve as a driver before improving the car. And
That's
kind of
smart.
what that resulted in was me finding the limits of certain parts of the car, like the brake fluid, like the brake pads.
Yep.
So, and then I upgraded. It's really not upgraded that much, but it's upgraded in a way that will enable me to drive to the event, drive it hard all day, and then drive it home. And then I basically just have my checklist of things that I do. It's also the car that I've learned to work on, just doing all the stuff myself. So it's been a complete experience of car ownership with the M3, at least.
Yeah.
Also, a lot more budget friendly if you work on the car yourself.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. I've been thinking about making a video on, how to save money working on your own vehicles, because I mean, you save a fortune.
You sure do, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's that's why I was really curious to hear from you, Rob, because I'm like, as a car enthusiast, how do you get to that financial independence? Like,
Yep.
it actually leads into like, as a 30-year-old, and I'm 30, like, what advice would you give your 30-year-old self now that you're at 40 and kind of like hit your almost, like in progressing to your number?
Well, I mean, that's a really good question because I got to be honest. When I was 30, I had actually lost everything from an e-commerce, the global financial crisis back in 2008. That impacted my, I had an e-commerce business with two other partners. That impacted us so bad, and it was just like a multi-year like downturn, and it was, so I basically had to start over from 30. So, I think if I could have gotten started a little earlier, like I found the fire community in 2016, 2017. If I had found that maybe, 7 years earlier or even, 20 years earlier, I think I would have been in a much better place because then I would have had things like an emergency fund and I would have had, investments and a lot more things to have fallen back on. But, I feel like if I had started, when I first, got back on my feet, I would have been way more ahead than I am now. So it's never too late to start and you have to do it,
Yep. I agree. That was kind of the realization I had when I was 28. It was like, I need to start. I felt like I was behind at the time.
Yep.
But it was like, I got to start.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the main thing I always say is, focus on increasing your income and then, obviously saving as much money as you can, living, below your means, and then investing as much as you can and just never panic sell and just stick to the plan.
Yeah.
So one question I have that I always like to ask people is, how do you define retirement?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I'll ever be, traditionally retired because I basically I had quit my full-time job in January of this year when I hit my fire number, and it kind of coincided with like all the COVID lockdowns. And that was when I just like really took it easy, didn't do much, just kind of floated around in the pool all day, hung out at the beach. But you get so bored of that pretty quick. Like a couple months of that, you're already like itching to do, especially entrepreneurial people like us. Like you want to be doing something,
Yep.
So I don't know. I would say in retirement, I'd probably be, quality control manager at my own resort or something. I don't know.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Yeah.
But you're still doing something. So yeah,
I would still be doing something that would be, earning me some sort of income, I think. Not for the fact of trying to make the money, but just, because that's your way of keeping score, pretty much.
Yep, that's Trey's favorite thing.
Yeah, that is. It is. Yeah. No, my whole thing is like I have a number of it's like $2.73 million, something like that. That's the number that I can replace my income on. Everything past that is just scorekeeping and house money.
Exactly. Yep.
And I'm a fairly risk tolerant person to start with, so God only knows what happens with that money.
So, how far away are you guys from your respective fire numbers? Have you done the math on that?
Justin?
Yeah, I have a lot of work to do. And I'm kind of in I don't know, it's not a tough position, but it's pushing me out a few more years, because at this time my significant other is in vet school, and we're basically living off my income. So, the 2 years that I had to save as much as I could definitely got dwindled, and it's going to probably dwindle over the next 4 years. But during the same time, like, working on increasing my income. So I'm still a bit of ways. It could be easily like another 10 to 15 years worth of really diligent, diligent work, diligent savings, diligent investing. So
you'll probably hit it before you even know it. I mean, I gotta tell you, I'd never expected, if you had asked me, 10 years ago, I would have been like, you're crazy, but if you stick with your plan, you'll achieve it sooner than you think.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's so encouraging to hear you, like, around 30 years old, basically starting over. Yep. And then here you are 10 years later, with the toys too.
Yeah. That was why I started my YouTube channel, was to, try to motivate, inspire people, and show people, you can do it, basically,
Yeah.
Yeah. And mine's interesting, because technically I am at my number if you look at it in terms of net worth, but 85% of my net worth is in private equity in that company I started. So like, there's no income that I could possibly produce from that. So,
but that's value that you have. That's still wealth on paper.
Yeah, it's eventual. It's eventual.
Right.
Possibly able to put into a portfolio that I could draw from. But if you ignore that, I'm like at 500,000. So still a couple million away.
That's still pretty good. I mean, you're doing better than 99% of the people out there.
Yeah, had the luck of starting a company that did well and is continuing to do well. So
that's great. Congratulations on that.
Can't be sad about that.
Yeah, thank you for doing that and then hiring me.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. We're both starting to do some real estate investing too. We're actually closing on our second property now.
Okay.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah, down in Florida.
Where is it?
Yeah. It's in Land O'Lakes.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. What is it? Single family?
Yep. Single family homes right next door to each other.
Nice.
Just so happened that we closed on a property last month before.
Yeah. Before last.
And my dad, he lives close by, so he does all the in-person property management for us. And he happened to be
about property management.
Yeah, he happened to be talking to one of the neighbors, and I guess like they were about to sell the house, so we got the inside scoop on it before they listed it. So we were able to put an offer in like within hours of them listing it, and they got the offer accepted within hours of that. So
nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, we were gonna hire a property management company, but then sort of last minute we decided not to for a couple of reasons. One, we just didn't have a whole lot of faith in some of the answers we were getting. We had them walk through the property and tell us what needed to be fixed and what didn't. And some of the things they suggested, I was just like, I don't know. I feel like this is something you should be confident in and like definitively know the answer on. It's expensive too. Like we were going to be paying 9% of rent.
That eats away at your profit.
Exactly. And it's just one property. My dad is there and can help, and he's a very handy person. And I have the time to learn it. I also look at this as like a long-term thing. I think we're not doing this to own 10 properties. Like 10 properties is our first milestone. After that, it's like much larger. So I think it's inevitable that we get into property management at a certain point in time. So it's like, why not do it when we only have one property or now two properties? So
That's
we're
true.
actually building out the property management business. We already had the legal structure in place, so we had a property management business. So we're just building that out. I do most of the stuff, and then my dad fills in wherever we need an in-person person, and then we actually still have to pay ourselves the property management fee. So we like the property owner pay the property management company 7% or something like that.
Right.
So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a single family property that I rented out. It was actually my first home that I bought back in 2013
Okay.
up in New Jersey. And when I moved, I didn't need to sell it, because I had a dual income at the
Yep.
point. I had my job and my business. And so we moved to Florida, and we were going to save a fortune on state income taxes. So it essentially paid for the monthly payments on the mortgage at the time. So I was like, you know what, let's just rent this property out, keep it as a rental, and move down by a new house. And I kept it for about a year and a half, rented it out, and I don't think I'm cut out to be a landlord, especially not an absentee landlord like 1,100 miles away. It wasn't bad. I had a decent tenant, but it was just too much. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little bit more, stress than I needed.
Yeah, that's very similar to what happened to me whenever I moved out of San Jose. We decided and then moved within 4 weeks. So it was very, very, very fast. And I was like, man, like we could make so much money from renting this thing and this and that. And I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't taken any Meet Kevin's courses yet. So like all I knew was very, very little. So we rented that out. Because we were trying to get the exact rent that we needed to cover all of what I thought would cover the expenses, we ended up filtering out a lot of candidates for renting, and I don't think we landed on the best renters, and I think that's honestly hard to do in that area in California anyways, especially in a short time frame. And so it wasn't a very good experience from like a landlording side of things. I doubt they had a very good experience working with us. And then on top of that, the month they were moving out, the house caught on fire. So then I had to deal with insurance for literally the next year before we could get it fixed and actually sold.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Luckily, the realtor I worked with was really good. Actually, you familiar with Bigger Pockets?
Yeah. Yeah.
So David Green. He was actually he was our realtor to sell the house.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And he was really awesome to work with. So if anyone is in that area and wants to work with him, it's really good to work with. He dealt with a lot of crap because we started working with him before the house fire, like as the tenants were about to move out, and he was like, he had his whole team ready to go, list the thing. I call him one day. I'm like, hey, so the house kind of caught fire, and yeah, it's gonna need fixed. And then a year later, he's finally able to sell the thing, and yeah, it was quite the experience. It's amazing. I got back into real estate investing after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. You weren't soured from that experience too much.
It's just like there's just so much potential in real estate investing, right? Like like you can reasonably safely leverage your money to a large extent in real estate, unlike anything else you can really do for the most part. This is kind of hard to beat.
It's got a lot of tax benefits too.
That too, yeah.
Especially if you hold it for a long enough time period. If you kind of hold it, keep it as a rental, and then eventually end up selling it, then you get bit by the recapture. The difference between depreciation and what you actually sold it for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean,
if you can effectively 1031 them, then
well, I think you would still get the hit with a recapture if you basically. So let's say you're depreciating, right? So you depreciated over 27 and a half years.
Yep.
So for all those years that you haven't rented, you're taking that depreciation.
Yep.
If you sell it for a profit above and beyond, let's say what you depreciated it, they want all that money back. From the IRS.
Interesting.
Yeah, look it up. It's called recapture.
Yeah. I'll talk to my accountant about it.
Yeah. Talk to your accountant about it.
That's what I pay her for.
We've got more to research now.
Yeah, for sure. What else? What else is there to talk about? Fire, cars,
whiskey,
finance.
What else is there in life?
Right now. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
pretty
so
much it.
Justin, you've transitioned over from your protein shake to adult
Yeah.
drink.
Yeah. I grew up during this podcast. Yeah, today was a jam-packed day and I squeezed in a workout right before this and then had to
Nice.
squeeze in the protein shake and now we're on to alcohol. I'm
Nice.
back into it's like if we talk about habits, maybe that's a good transition, but like one of my foundational habits just to like keeping me in line with all other goals is just health and fitness. I feel like
Yeah.
if I'm consistent with working out and eating well, then other things tend to fall in line. So I've made a
That's
commitment.
true.
It really started, over the last few weeks, and I finally was able to set up a home gym because out here in California with COVID, everything shut down. So
Everything's shut down.
it took about 4 months to get everything that I ordered
It sure
too,
did. I was
which
so
is
glad I
nuts.
set up my home gym before all this
Yeah.
happened. Not that I use
Yeah.
it ever.
Yeah. What
But
the hell?
I wish I had the same habits as you. I got to hire a personal trainer to come out to my house just to get me to
Yeah.
use my gym.
So funny stories about the home gym stuff too, because I noticed, I think the only one that didn't do this was Rogue Fitness, who's a big fitness brand. Their prices are already very high, but a lot of the other companies, like where Trey got his stuff from and where I got my stuff from, a lot of these companies started raising prices during the first wave in March of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, kind of expected. These businesses are taking advantage of it or like, just trying to meet the demand.
Yep. Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. And I ordered all my stuff in July. It started showing up 3 months later. And I think, within the last month, I finally got everything else. But in some cases, they sent me double of what I ordered.
Did
they? Yeah. And I reached out. I was like, hey, followed up on a couple of the orders. I'm like, you sent me double and then just didn't hear back. So it's just kind of like, if you guys want it, they're packaged up and ready to go, but I'm giving them like a 30-day window. Otherwise, I'm just going to start using it because I'm like, this is, I could use it. It's within the budget for fitness stuff. So, but that was a roundabout saying of, working out is kind of what's helping keep me on track with even things like financial goals. So
that's good. Yeah, this year I've been like hit or miss because of COVID. I have a community gym that's literally, I can throw rocks at it from my house. It's like right across my street. And they shut it down, even though like nobody even really, like it's like me and two other people whenever I go. But they shut it down like during the initial lockdowns. And then they reopened it, but then I think my wife had actually tested positive for COVID. So I was like, great, now I can't go. Like it was a 2-week, quarantine. Then I got back into it, and it's like every time I get back into it, something comes back up, and like I just can't go. And then Thanksgiving holiday and all that was family and stuff coming to visit. And then I was like, all right, great, I'm gonna come back. I ended up getting sick Friday, Black Friday. I got like a sore throat, like a nasal drip. I'm like, great, now I can't go now either. Maybe next Monday, if I'm lucky.
There we go.
I just always tell myself I'm too busy. I have it on my calendar. I'm just like, I just have something more important to do.
At least you're honest with yourself, I think it was Matt Diavella, a YouTuber. I think it was him that it got me in the mindset. I'm pretty sure other people have said this too, but it's like when I'm trying to get back into working out, I usually commit just to doing it once a week. Because like if you extrapolate that out, then it's still 50 times a year at least, which isn't nothing. And then from there, it's kind of, for me at least, it's easy to build on. Okay, I'll add, after I've done that for 3 weeks, okay, I'll add another day. I'll do 2 days a week after doing 1 day a week for a month. So that's kind of how I almost trick myself into getting back into it. And then my mind literally just starts working differently when I work out regularly. So then I start to be like, okay, yeah, now I feel like I'm back in the zone.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like you got to make it fun. You got to look forward to it. Otherwise, it's going to be, you're not going to want to go.
Yeah, that's like, thankfully I have a friend down here who's been training with me this week, and it's been more so of me doing his workouts and suffering through those, but they've been really good.
Oh,
So
hey, how's that feel?
feels great.
You used to kill me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do that to
Yeah.
Trey.
I'm pretty sure I have a really, really early vlog where it's titled like he almost killed me. So yeah, no, I need like a monetary downside to not working out. So
we can do that again. We did something like that last year.
I actually thought about it today. We used to do this thing. We were actually building an app to manage this. It was like a you could join a group of friends and you could say what habits you were trying to build, and then every time you missed on those habits, you had to pay your friends money.
Okay.
But we
You
never
got to set to what the monetary amount was, but it was. I think I did pretty good because I was like, I don't want to give you fuckers $5 or $10.
I didn't do super well. I think I really need someone to just show up that I'm paying. It to just like hold me accountable. So as soon as this whole thing's over, I'm gonna just pay someone to come out here and walk me through a workout. It's basically what I used to use you for, but now you're over in California.
You can just FaceTime me. I'll sit in there and yell at you.
That would be funny. What else is there to talk about? Anything?
I mean, there's YouTube.
There's YouTube. YouTube is
YouTube.
Man,
Yeah.
YouTube.
So, what's on your content calendar? Anything you can share? Any sneak peeks?
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of videos I need to make this week.
Yeah.
Trey's been a content machine.
So I got pushed by Meet Kevin like a month and a half ago, right?
Yeah, I saw that on your channel.
That went crazy. I was at 240 subscribers before that, and now I'm at 760 or something like that.
That's great.
It was nuts.
Do you have enough watch hours that when you get to 1,000 you can monetize?
Nope. No, I'm closer to 1,000 than I am on my watch hours. I'm like 75% of the way to subscribers, 65% on watch time. But like right after that whole thing, I saw a bunch of traction. I'm like, well, if I'm ever gonna like jump to 2 a week, this is gonna be the time. So I committed to 2 a week. I got a week ahead on things. I'm not a week ahead on things anymore.
How is the difference? What's the difference between 2 and 1? Are you noticing a huge difference between that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, not really, but it's hard to tell, right? Because I had such a massive spike. Like, there's this period of videos that got just a ton of views just because, like, they were around there. Like, I had a couple of videos that blew up just because they were on the end screens of the Meet Kevin video when it blew up. So it's like, and it's funny, my Meet Kevin video, it has a spike almost every day at noon when Meet Kevin goes live on his Discord.
Really?
Yeah. I saw it. I happened to see a spike the other day, and then I noticed one today too. I'm like, oh shit, this is like right when he goes live. So I think he goes live and people get my video recommended to them.
Oh yeah, probably.
But it's hard to tell. I mean, I like making 2 a week. I think it the way I'm looking at it, it puts more content out there to be served up through search, which I think is like the primary place for me to grow right now is search and recommended. But I think search is the biggest place right now. So like coming up, I have a collab soon with Jack Duffley. He's another finance YouTuber. He's a law student and does a lot of content there. We're doing like a portfolio review of each other's like investment portfolio on each other's channels. I'm doing one that's loosely titled "The Number One Way to Generate Passive Income." Basically, how to lend money through promissory notes, which is like just an amazing way to make consistent passive income.
Yeah, seriously. And it's secured, right? A lot of times.
Yeah. The one I did was unsecured, just because I loaned money to a business that I have a long-standing relationship with, so I didn't have to worry about it, and that was super easy. How to transfer stock without selling it, so talking about ACATS transfers, and then how to angel invest for $1,000.
That's an interesting one.
Basically, like angel list syndicates is the way to do it. I've now officially made my first 3 angel investments.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been one more since last week, Justin.
You got another one?
Yeah. I'm really excited about this one, actually.
Nice. Congrats.
It's a product that I've talked about before. It's like, think Robinhood, but instead of buying stocks, you can go and launch quantitative algorithms that people have developed.
Oh, you have talked about this.
I was building it at one point.
Like the alpaca stuff, right?
Yeah. I was building that platform before. So I was really, when I saw that pop up, I'm like, I invested within like 15 minutes of seeing the deal.
I mean, like, what a perfect thing to find, though, because you're like, oh, I think I found an opportunity. I'm going to build it.
Yeah.
And then whatever happened. And then.
Yeah. So as long as you're accredited, which I understand is hard for a lot of people. But as long as you're accredited, you can just go sign up on there, jump on a bunch of syndicates, and then you just get deals pop up. And like, they're not as good of terms as you could get if you went and manually found the deals, but I don't have to do any work to find these deals. And most of the time they're pretty well vetted because the syndicate is investing themselves. So like I'm investing at pre-seed and seed rounds, $1,000 each. You know, I saw a guy post on Twitter earlier in the investing community. He invested in Airbnb, like it was like $5,000 or something like that in the seed round. Now it's worth $6 million as they IPO.
Nice.
You know, that's the thing with angel investing that I find is really interesting is like, it's not a whole lot like typical investing. It's a lot more like roulette, which Justin knows I love roulette. But like the strategy with roulette is to place a bunch of different ones, expecting most of them to go to zero and one of them to hit big. That's angel investing. You place a bunch of small bets and one of them might hit big. One of them might hit medium and break you even, but one hit big and you made a lot of money from it, and the others just go to zero and you're okay with it. So it's an interesting space. But yeah, I'm excited about that one. It's, you know, I'm trying to do stuff that's different from the typical finance content out there. You know, there's lots of people trying to copy Graham Stevin and Andre, and
I've noticed that. I mean, it's just it's so apparent. You know, it's like the original.
Like, yeah, they have good content, good channels, but they got good because of certain reasons. You know, Graham like really is like focused on like the millennial and younger generation, first time investing, and he was one of the first to the game. Andre got big because he focused so heavily on dividend investing. Meet Kevin because he's so focused on real estate investing. Well, at least one point in time he was. So like mine is like.
And now he's doing kind of like a daily show about stimulus packages or something, right?
multi video daily show.
Yeah,
releases like 3 or 4 a day. Yeah, and he really enjoys that. I don't watch a lot of them just because I don't really care that much about stimulus content for the most part.
Right.
But yeah, I'm like trying to focus mine on like more risky ways to financial independence and like focusing on angel investing and startups and things like that.
Okay.
But it's YouTube's fascinating. You know, I released a YouTube short last weekend about why I'm investing in Tesla. And today, for literally an hour, that was it, an hour, it just blew up. It got 150 views in an hour, and then it went right back down to the number, the rate of views it had before. It's like, I don't know. Someone pushed a button at YouTube.
Is that your first short video?
No, it's my third.
Okay. I've been thinking about playing with that just because my retention times, it's like I go through my analytics and I'm looking through and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, 30% on some videos. Some videos like 40%, but I don't know where yours are on average, but I'm trying to get it to be like, 60 and above. And it's like,
most of mine are 40 to 50, but also most of my videos are 5 to 8 minutes long.
Yeah, see, I think my problem is I run too long. A lot of my videos go over like 10 minutes a lot of times.
Yeah, I release like very short, concise videos. My one I released recently was my first like double-digit video. It was like 11 minutes long, and it was like a 30% retention rate, something like that. Yeah. But no, I've been playing with shorts. I use them as like, I treat them sort of like user acquisition channels. So I've been releasing them as shorts, but I've also been releasing them on my TikTok page. Okay. So like my focus on shorts is like deliver value in 30 seconds and then call to action to go to my YouTube page. And like that's the format for every single one. So like I did one on the 2 best methods to get cash out of your house, why I'm investing in Tesla. I have one releasing on Saturday about like what capital gains are.
Okay.
Just like short little things. And not too many people are doing shorts right now, and especially in the finance space, they're not.
Yeah, you're right about that. Not too many. I see a few like really small timers, but definitely nobody big doing them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm playing around with them. The Tesla traction that I've gotten on this one, I've gotten 3 subscribers from that video. I got 1 subscriber from one of my other shorts. So like it's working for subscribers for me. So I'm just going to keep doing it until it stops working.
Cool. Yeah. How many videos do you release a week?
2 regular form and then 1 short form. So Monday and Friday and then Saturday.
You're a busy guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Multiple jobs, YouTube, real estate investing, the usual.
And you got time to make these fancy drinks too.
Yeah, I've been getting really into cocktail making lately. I have like a full, very legit bar here.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
What is the best place for people to go and find your content and interact with you?
So go to youtube.com/ELI5FI. That stands for Explain Like I'm 5, Financial Independence. And you can see all the content. I'm fairly new. I've only been around, 2 months or so, but I'm here for the long term.
Cool. I will put that in the description on this video too. Yeah, and if by you I mean like anyone that ever happens to watch this video, go subscribe. While you're at it, subscribe to us too, because why not? Yeah,
we got to do our collab. I'm gonna be in touch with you about that.
Yes, 100%. Let me know. And you and Justin should do something about cars too, because he's got a automotive channel.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna subscribe to it. Send me. Is it in? It's gonna be in. Send it to me.
Yeah, we'll do that. Cool. I'm about to subscribe to yours, Rob. I got you.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming. It was a good time. And as always, you guys can check us out. Twitter, Trobrock, Twitter, Gustin, Jabriel, and thefinancialilliterates.com. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks.